Why do we struggle with doing things that we hate doing? The answer is simple. It's because we hate it. Problem here is there are a lot of things that we have to do that we hate doing. Whether it's work, whether it's working out, reading, or simply eating your vegetables. I'm going to tell you a story of how I learned to remove some of those struggles from my life and how you can do the same. When I was a kid, like most kids, I used to hate eating my vegetables. I hated broccoli. It was one of my least favorite things. I could eat corn, I could eat carrots, but broccoli, it was just the end of the world for little Micah. And my mother was very strict about making sure you ate what was on your plate, because as a single mom, she couldn't afford much. So it was all we really had to eat. Eventually, my mom started dating this guy. We went over his house for dinner, and he made mac and cheese and the devil's food, broccoli. I started on the mac and cheese, and it was the best I had had in my entire life. I ate it and wanted more, but I had broccoli on my plate, and I knew if I was to get more, I needed to finish my plate. So I started eating, and I thought, this tastes different than usual. I take another bite, and another, and eventually I finished all of the broccoli. It was so good, I looked up at this guy my mom was dating, who is now my father, and I asked for more broccoli. My mother's jaw hit the floor. This little boy, who's one of the pickiest eaters she knew, just asked for more broccoli of all things. Gladly, she got up and got me more. You see, there are a lot of things that we should do, like eating your broccoli as a kid, that we don't want to do. And you really have three basic options. Avoid it, do it now, or do it later. There are certain areas in life that you should avoid. I don't believe we should avoid the problems. Instead, we should lean into them. But we don't have to suffer for suffering's sake. I always hated broccoli as a kid. So what happened that changed this time? My future dad added salt, pepper, and garlic. That's it. It wasn't anything complicated. It wasn't anything special. In all honesty, we just never ate with garlic. So what's your broccoli? What do you need to eat that you just detest? That thing you really don't want to do that you know you should? And then ask yourself, how can you season it up to make it taste better? For example, if you need to work out more, ask yourself, what can I do to encourage this behavior? It sounds so simple when I talk about it this way, but it's going to take a lot of trial and error. There are little things that you can do in the middle of your suffering to make it better. One option is you can do it with friends. Very few things are better than going through something hard with someone you love and trust. If you have that option, it's a surefire way to go. There are some of you who may not have friends with a similar goal. And if that's you, then find something else. For me, when I go for runs, I refuse to listen to music because I run to the beat and it causes me to go faster than I should and I can't get my distance in. So when I started running, I started with audiobooks. I started with listening to podcasts and sermons. It allowed my mind to wander, and I was still able to set my own pace. Now, removing suffering is a great idea, but there are certain times you should suffer because it does develop character, but you do not have to suffer all the time. My question to you is, what are you suffering with, and what's something you could add to it to make it taste better, to make it more palatable? Maybe you're trying to study the Bible. You're really struggling to sit down and read because you get bored so easily. Find a different way to read it, or someone reading it to you. Just last night, I was listening to Focus on the Family's Adventures in Odyssey, and they have this series called Darien's Rise. It's a story of King David, but in more modern times, where there are trains and guns, like Midwestern cowboys type stuff. It's the story of King David in a story form, where you're not diving into a bunch of historical information. There are infinite ways to add things to your suffering that changes the dynamic to where you no longer need to suffer. So here is a step-by-step process you can use to figure it out. Step 1, make a list of your suffering. You may already have an idea of certain things you have to do that suck, but take the time to write it down. Take the time to put names to everything, because this will help you to focus in on it and mark off what works and what doesn't work for it. Step 2, make a list of things that you think may help season your suffering. You may have some ideas on this as well, but I urge you to take time to write it down, either on paper or on your phone. And don't just stop on one or two things. If we ate food with only one seasoning day in and day out, we would get sick of it after a while. You need an entire pantry of seasonings that you can try. Step 3, make the meal. Take action. Once you have your lists, try it out. Go to the gym. See what happens when you change from listening to music to a podcast. You never know what will happen until you try it. And after you try it, write it down. Write down how it worked or how it didn't work. And don't just stop at garlic. Once you find something that works, don't stop there. Keep trying things. Try many different things at a time and see how they taste together. You don't want to get bored, so keep adding and trying new things and writing down how they work or how they don't work. And who knows, some things may not work on their own, but when you add them with other ingredients, it can make them taste amazing. What are you waiting for? Go! Don't waste your time. You have the best meal of your life waiting on the other side of your suffering. Thank you, and good night.